this buffalo skinner here. Is that an awesome knife or what? Oh, 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 oh. This is a Gil Hibben Muso Bowie. And we're going to be taking a look at that today. And if you'd like to see more about it, check out the video. Hey guys, we're going to look at this crazy Bowie here today. And as I mentioned earlier, this is Gil Hibben's reproduction of what's called the Muso Bowie. And if you don't know what the Muso was, some cat in the I think in the 70s went into an antique store, found a knife that looked like this, took it back home. After a while, he starts cleaning it up, and there's JB initials on the knife, and wow, you know, could that be Jim Bowie's knife? So it was a big sensation, and I'm not going to get too far into that controversy, which it is a raging controversy over whether that knife is genuine or not. So just because JB was on the knife, for one thing, doesn't mean it was Jim Bowie's. Could have been produced by James Black. It also could have his initials on there. He was said to have given a presentation knife to different people. So it could have been the presentation knife that he gave to people. Still pretty historical. But his brother gave a description of the knife that he had produced and gave to his brother, and that Jim Bowie carried, and it doesn't look anything like this. Mark Zielinski, one of the foremost experts on Bowie knives in America, believes it's a fake and doesn't believe that it's even a genuine 1800 period knife. So that's the deal with the Muso Bowie. But this is a reproduction, and Gil Hibben was a custom knife maker at some point. He was also a guide in Alaska for a long time, and he knew knives well. And United Cutlery approached him to produce knives for him, and this knife is produced by United Cutlery, and it's a Gil Hibben design. I think it very faithfully follows the Muso Bowie. It looks very similar, dimensional wise, and just the look of it. So that's how I'm going to approach this video, is that this is a collectible knife, and from the standpoint of, would you want to have this knife? Could you take this knife and cut down trees and drive it through hoods of cars and things like that? And I'll put my 2 cents in on that. So first, this blade from the end of the ricasso to the tip is 13 and 3/4 inches long. The boxers, this says it's 14 inches. It's kind of a little bit off of that. The handle, the full length of the handle is 5 3/4 inches, so it's pretty big. And then at the widest point right here on the handle is 1 inch wide. At the widest point on the knife right here, the knife is 2.5 inches wide. So it's just a massive knife. It's characterized, this style Bowie is what's called a Texas Bowie. They have kind of a concave design on the spine. If you can see that, kind of dips down, and a very dramatic clip on them. And that is a hallmark of a Texas Bowie. The edge of the knife is kind of flat for maybe 2 inches, but after that, it's almost a continuous curve up to the point. And that's very typical of the Spanish design influence on Bowie knives in Texas. So it's good representation of a Texas Bowie, in other words. A lot of them did have esquillions on them here. And there's a number of knives that look similar to this that you can find that have been positively dated to the 1840s, 1830s. So it's if nothing else, it's representative of an evolution of Bowie knives at that period of time around 1840, when you had Texas opening up and you had the West opening up, and Bowie knives were starting to look more and more like this and less like a butcher knife, which is kind of what they looked like prior to that. So on top of this, you can see this brass cap here that goes on the spine of the knife. And that brass cap is typical of some knives. You don't see it a whole lot, but there are a few knives, not related to the Muso Bowie, but there's a few other knives that have brass caps on them like that. And I think it was just decorative. Some guy put it on a knife one time to kind of spice the knife up. It caught on, but it wasn't tremendously popular. You don't see it on a lot of, most Bowie knives don't have a brass cap on it like that. So that's the deal on that. So on the box, I purchased this knife a couple years ago, paid $100 for it. I think $100 is a fair value. The knife is 20 inches long. It's a huge knife. And whether it's just collectible or not, I think that's probably a fair value with it. But I also think that this knife is made well enough that you could probably use it. You could probably carry it and do some light work with it in the bush. One of the concerns I have in that regard is you'll notice the handle here, there's no pins. So the handle is glued on. And, you know, when I say glue, they probably used resin. It's probably hard as rock, and it'd probably be just fine. But I just don't think you want to be trying to chop a tree down with a knife that doesn't have pins in it. That's just a prescription for disaster. So if you were looking at this knife as collectible to put on a plaque, to put on your wall, to put on your office desk or something like that, I think it's just fine. And the blade on this knife is stainless steel, so it's probably 440A. It was made in China. The edge on this knife is wicked sharp. So you know, it's plenty sharp. I can give you a close-up of it. So the knife is so big I can't really pick it up, but you can see it's got a nice mirror polish. I think once you got a hold of the knife, you could put a better mirror polish on that. And really sharp tip. Look at the tip on that knife. And a fairly good job on the blade. If I can get, it wants to focus on me. Let's see. Yeah, I can't get that blade in. So the blade is fairly consistent on the knife. Fairly good job. And I just want to take a few minutes to talk about the historical significance of this knife. So if you're collecting Bowies as part of a historical view, what did old Bowies look like? How did they evolve? And you're trying to collect different Bowies that are representative of that. This Bowie is representative of a Texas Bowie. Bowie knives in the period from 1940 to 1960 had this, in Texas Bowies had this kind of concave spine to the knife. It's very slight. Some are more acute, but it is kind of concave, and then you have a very dramatic plunge. And on Texas Bowies, you can find some where this clip plunges down to the blade, to the edge, which is flat. Some of them are kind of up in the middle, like this one is, and some of them rose to the top of the blade. So on this Texas clip, it's dramatic, but it came to different points on different Bowie knives. There are different examples. The point is, this was kind of an evolution, and this is where Bowie started looking like this and less like butcher knives, which is what early Bowies looked like. This is also very similar to Confederate Bowie in that it was wide, but Confederate Bowies were usually very crudely made, and they were consistent 2.5 inches throughout, and then came to a sharp point and had a little clip on them. This is more of a kind of sweep, kind of like a Persian or a Turkish influence. And experts say that is the Spanish influence on the knives. In the 1870s, Colt came out with their 6-gun. It was a gun that accepted cartridges. You could reload it rapidly, and it held 6 bullets. And prior to that, men carried flintlocks or black powder pistols that fired 1 shot. They were inaccurate and notoriously unreliable. So this knife was why guys carried that, because if they used their pistol, they had 1 shot, they probably would have missed, and they felt they needed something else in a fight. After Colt came out with their gun in 1870, the size of these knives started to diminish greatly, and very quickly, they went down to 9 inches, in between 7 and 9 inches. And what you get is Western Bowie. So if you took 4 inches off of this knife and put that blade back there, it looks a lot like Case's 1836 knife. I think Western's model was 53, if I'm correct. I might have that wrong, but it's a short, stubby Bowie geometry that is wide, but it's a lot shorter than this knife. And after that period, as you enter the 1890s, a lot less trapping's going on. Guys are involved in trades, ranching, and the need for these big Bowies had just gone away. And so the Bowies in the 1890s are quite a bit smaller, many of them with just 6-inch blades. And into the 1900s, we're kind of back to that butcher knife kind of design, 1.5-inch blade with a clip at the end, and that becomes our hunting knife. So this is a really cool design, though, and I really like the smaller ones. The ones that have 9-inch blade that have this design are really nice. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it informative. If you do, please like and subscribe if you want to see more content. I'm going to be doing more with fixed blade knives and other things. So remember, the truth, you shall know the truth, it shall set you free. And I really appreciate you watching the video.